channel here over at SubScribeStar. My two favorite pictures of Emily Yucas. The beautiful and talented Emily Yucas with her proof of concept animation, the Will Stancil show. Our beautiful pistachio queen with the fabulous milkers. And the thing is, beautiful women with low-cut shirts go a long way to help push propaganda to get young guys on board with political action committees, is what we'll call it for YouTube. So the alt animation queen, Emily Yucas, fighting for the marginalized and oppressed. Animation is the voice of the unheard. Animation AI is going to be like the people responding to speaking truth to power. Use all their left-wing cultural Bolshevik words and phrases against them. The trick is you just have to say it with a dead straight face, and they say, it's not real. You go, well, we feel it is real. And it's like, that's both the arguments are going to be just appeals to emotion. So our girl's fighting for free speech, and the globalists and the useful idiots like this writer at The Atlantic are definitely triggered by that. And the writing quality of mainstream media across the board is The Atlantic, but it's just so bad because of their affirmative action hiring practices. But it's been normalized for so long that people accept this childish style of writing by someone who seems to be dumb, like legitimately dumb. Who's that guy, Ta-Nehisi Coates? He has written a ton of books and articles, and then you read this stuff and you're like, how is this guy here? He's barely literate, and you realize the mainstream media is just pushing him and like helping him sell books that are coffee table books that liberals buy, and they probably read a little bit of and realize like, this is gonna have to go in the compost. It's so freaking bad. But this kind of thing has been normalized for so long. Here, the writer, an affirmative action hire guy, makes all these claims, calls her racist, then he calls her Hugo Boss wearing Nazi, all this kind of stuff, and nowhere does he define these terms, which nowadays are very ambiguous. And nowhere does he starts with a conclusion, but you're supposed to have an argument that leads logically to that conclusion. And that's unfortunately not found in the article, which is bad, but that's just mainstream media nowadays. And people accept it because it's been like this for decades. We're making claims and there's just no supporting argument or sources. You're supposed to be able to click on the hypertext where you back up your claims. It's like it just doesn't exist. And Atlantic and other mainstream media are in a position where they can't fire a non-white writer. And it's to the point now where the editor themselves is either a diversity hire or super woke and probably illiterate, like the blue-haired, or just so woke that they're willing to overlook the fact that your writers can't actually write. So the mainstream big budget media concept is on the way out. You've seen that with Hollywood over the past 10 years, which has had a spectacular amount of failures. And smaller alternative media, free of censorship, is the future. Because people don't want a small group of Hollywood vermin controlling the narrative. They want a free speech perspective. There's what people want, and then people like Emily step in to supply what the market's demanding. Suddenly people are awakening to how toxic censorship and this political correctness is. It's somebody else, usually some globalist media parasite, telling you, Nina Jankowicz at the Ministry of Truth under Biden, what ideas you're allowed to discuss. It's bizarre it has gone on this long, where the only allowed punchline is white people, am I right? Orange County or something. The problem is that we're friggin' awesome and our haters are vermin. But alt media and things like, if anything's going to change, the one thing that's going to change is this narrative of what's really going on. Police body cams, the cell phone video, or the technology that allows small video cameras to be in everyone's hands. And you're showing this to the world using social media. So the combination of being able to hold a video camera in your hand that lasts for hours and then be able to live stream it, like anyone can do this now. And you're showing reality to people. And it is changing the narrative. But alt media and things like SubScribeStar and GiveSendGo and a bunch of other stuff allows people to spread the punchline out to protected groups and realize, well, they shouldn't have been off limits in the first place. If you're okay with going after European people, then blacks, Jews, Asians, Latins, Arabs, Irish, Italians, sorry, Cecil. They're also fair game, the Sicilians. And the beautiful Emily is the perfect person to start shining a spotlight on their peccadillos, their machinations. And her milkers are absolutely fantastic, which I think helps her creative process. It's like you got a message and you sugarcoat it, and that's what, tight t-shirts are for. The right can parody the left because the left is so ridiculous. And because the right understands the left, left doesn't successfully parody the right because they don't understand the right. So everything has to be a bizarre, blonde man, bad straw man that doesn't connect with the audience. They know it's not organic. It's endless. It's endless. So what you're saying is with that Canadian benzo guy, and they're limited by their rules of political correctness, and that ruins comedy. So they try to impose the rules on everyone else with censorship instead of just ignoring media they don't like. Was it Rachel Leishman at the Mary Sue wanting like to ban South Park back in the day? Well, South Park has turned woke with Trump 2.0, so the right wing just stopped watching it. It's just not such a big deal. But the left is having discussions about how to counter this new form of right wing media. People like Emily Youcis with her milkers. There's the left, which is no longer funny, and then there's like the controlled gatekeeper right, like the Daily Wire and with Shapiro and Crowder. And no, Crowder, I gotta say, like him and his team have said a few, like that branch, not the Shapiro branch, but Crowder and a couple others have said a few interesting things. But like they're limited by the platform because they're on YouTube, and that's where the majority of their money is coming from. So, they're tied into when you have like a $100 million business or in the millions of dollars with a dozen employees, you're very limited. The platform has a lot of control over you, which is why they're so desperate to get over to spread out to Rumble, which they successfully done. So they're allowed to go after things like, this is what I think is really chicken ass, is when they go after stuff like the trans, because they were given permission to go after them. And if you notice, there was a kind of a switch where they went after them, the guy, he wore a T-shirt and he said, socialism is for a bundles of sticks type of slur. It's like, well, that's what you're allowed to go after. And I always test them, but I think it's chicken shit because you're not going after everyone. Like you're going after what the puppet masters are telling you you can go after. And I test them by going after their protected groups, some of those groups I already named. And I always test it to see if everything's on the table. And with that control branch of the right, it's not open season on everyone. It's that clip of Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's got a lot of clips where he takes his mask off. And it's like he's on the right wing, he supports free speech, and suddenly he's like, no, any racist has got to be destroyed. We'll go after them. We get to fire them from their jobs. And we're looking at like, it's just not a right-wing this is not conservatism, Shapiro. So what she's doing with this proof of concept is popping everybody's cherry because she's making AI animation. It takes time, but it's not rocket science. So, and the thing is, a lot of what she's doing is not rocket science, but she's the one doing it because it takes balls to do. And she has an amazing attitude. And she's had this attitude for a long time. There's a video I put on BitChute of her clip with who's that guy, Gavin something, where she is just backing him into a corner for a couple of minutes, and Gavin is just squirming away from it. I'll put the link down below. So, like, why didn't anyone else do this struggle snuggle of Will Stancil before? I mean, it seems like such an obvious direction to go in, the sodomy of Stancil, pretty much. So they didn't do it because they didn't think of it. There's a first time for everyone and everything. And there's a saying about learning how to accept repeated failures to get to a win. And the other thing, of course, is, well, the left is lame and can't meme, but this isn't immediately monetizable. It grows your social media footprint, and the other shows that you're involved with, her Modern Politics and her husband's War Strike with Stryker on Odyssey and Rumble, which is a big part of modern creators, is growing that footprint. But the reward is going to be a few steps down the line, if at all. And with this, the cat is out of the bag, so you can expect a Trump Elon Musk animation to be coming out soon, but it's going to suck because the left can't call things using slurs and epithets that we can use, though I can't use them on YouTube, though I use them everywhere else but YouTube, because that's off limits for them. They're only allowed to dehumanize European people, so their humor is just so myopic that it's boring. And it's like it's when Trump jokes for 2 months solid in 2016. It's like, okay, that was enough Trump jokes forever, and they continued it for like the next 10 years. So if they did an animation, it would be a lecture on whatever was popular at the moment. It would, might be pronouns. And the punchline, and the thing is, like, they're so behind the curve that when they're the mainstream media has been behind the curve for a long time, especially with advertising. They're pushing something where they think they're on board a narrative that has already been kind of thrown away, like I don't know, like the pronoun lectures on pronouns or something. And then the punchline for the left is just, oh, Trump is fat and he's got a small dork, and his fans would be guys with, which I think is what South Park is doing. Though I haven't been watching it. His fans would be guys with, like, baseball caps and wife beater t-shirts and stars and bars t-shirts. It would just be beyond stupid. The lameness of the left can be summed up by their ACAB acronym, because the only words their masters allow them to use is bastard as a pejorative, which is lame because it's not 1825 anymore. That word doesn't mean anything. I mean, most of Antifa is technically bastards. They have a hierarchy of race, so blacks can go after Asians and anything is on the table, because the left won't criticize blacks at all. Every stereotype and vaguely the Mexicanish protesters can call black cops as the same offensive words that we use, but it's problematic if we use those epithets. But anti-ICE protesters are allowed because it's for a good cause. And there was a TikTok of a black guy who's like, he's supporting the anti-ICE protests, and he's listening to these Mexican protesters who are calling a black cop, some hot words, and the look on the black guy's face is like, wait a minute. Yeah, there's no black and brown coalition. Those groups don't team up. They don't like each other. Anyway, they can if how do I say this? White people like blacks more than any other group, but black people don't seem to be aware of that. There's a tiny percentage who are aware of that. But there's this whole movement, like a black and brown coalition, and they thought there was going to be like a socialist takeover America, and these black people thought that they're going to be in charge of it. And I look at this and go like, so the Mexicans, you're 13%, Mexicans outnumber you 2-1, and they're the fastest growing population. You're not going to be in charge of it. In fact, you're going to be, as the LA council, they've made a bunch of comments about the black community in Los Angeles. The Mexican council members are talking about them, and we're not nice things to say. The Mexicans would be in charge of the community. Like, why would you think they would allow you in charge? Your situation under the new Mexican majority America, which is a few years away, is going to be a lot worse, because white people like you more than Latin American people do, because you have different histories. And anyway, so the left can advocate to murder every Israeli or Zionist, as they call them, but they'll never mention Jews. And then you ask them, well, what about the history of Islamic colonization for the past 1,400 years, and enslavement, and sexual slavery, and all kinds of horrific things? And then they have to deflect until you back them into a corner where they're in the position of, well, they have to support slavery if Arabs, Muslim Arabs or black tribes do it, like the Dahomey tribe, because they're not arguing from logic. They just hate European people. It's not that deep. And don't get me wrong, I don't care about Israel or Palestine, but I feel about both of them the way they feel about us. Like, how dare you? Calling for their genocide. Wait, what? But even I can look at the expansion of Islam and question, well, why aren't the Jews allowed one country? And before you say, somebody last time I defended Israel, somebody said something about your shekels will be deposited, as if a channel with like 100 views on a video is going to get any money. The thing is, take that deposit back, because if I was in charge, I'd wipe the area clear of both of those groups and just replace it with Europeans. But, unfortunately, I am not in charge. Anyway, so Emily is showing everyone that the old media is dying, because it's all propaganda. It's not organic storytelling. Who's that guy, Joseph Campbell? I have that book. I'm going to have to do a video on it. I have a couple of his books. He wrote Occidental Mythology, and I have a physical copy of that, which is fantastic. He even shows with great concepts like Apple TV's Pluribus show, Pluribus Unum, are infused with cultural Marxist nonsense. As soon as I see the blonde lead character, I watched the first 4 episodes. The 5th episode, I believe, is coming out, or the 6th episode is coming out December 5th. The thing is, when you have, it's a blonde lesbian writer is the lead. When you use blonde hair, they're going to use that visual for a negative reason, and they do in episodes 2 and 3, which I'll do a video on that as well. They don't do anything like this or anything randomly. It's still enjoyable, but it's, it's only to a limit. It's, once the They Live movie with the wrestler with the, who's the guy? Wes Craven? Did he do They Live? He puts on the sunglasses, and the fight scene with that other guy, and the fight scene is like way too long. But the argument is they're trying to show you how hard it is to drag people down the rabbit hole. Is to put to make his partner put on the sunglasses, and then the guy puts on the sunglasses, and it's like you ruined his life and you changed his life forever, because once you see, you can never unsee. You can never. What was it, Men in Black, flash the light and forget and go back to normal. So the left on Blue Sky, which is some kind of, it's like Twitter for furry pedophiles, are saying that they need to elect people who can stop stuff like this. And you go, it's free speech, right? It's a parody of a public figure, a really lame one, but the left wants to ban it. They don't want you to watch it. And this technology is admittedly in early days, and it's not very good yet. Just being honest. But that's the thing. Like, this is the worst it's ever going to be. A few years from now, this is going to look professional. And then you have the choice of the anti-white mainstream race-mixing gay trans narrative with the same stupid punchline that's been this way for 40 years, or you got our pistachio queen Emily Yucas, who's able to shine a spotlight on those people in Hollywood who have been making propaganda for so long. I mean, imagine a Weinstein Island adventure show, or Weinstein Island Part 2, The Empire Strikes Back. Alt media is going to struggle snuggle Hollywood like Emily is doing to Stancil's ego. The future is going to be these social media personalities is going to be the nucleus, and they're going to start to kind of express their views in the form of animation and movies. Even like full-length movies are only a few years away. The marketing is tied to the person and the network, and some left-wing, they always try to shut down the ADL, SPLC, ACLU, and all their various Soros-funded companies. Like GPAF is a fascinating one, because articles are so bad and they get no traction, but somebody is paying them to write these bizarre anti-white articles. They created a digital map network of people, and you're like, oh, this is just good channels to listen to, right? But they're including like the 6 degrees of separation. It's like awesome people like Red Ice with Lana Lockdiff and Henrik Palmgren, fantastic people that helped a lot of us get started in, kind of moving to the right. But then they also have like Tim Pool up there and like Ben Shapiro, and you're like, now I guess there is an argument, because, back in about like 10 years ago, those kind of normie channels there was a pipeline on YouTube, because right-wing channels did exist on YouTube. You had, Red Ice and Jared Taylor and Dr. Duke and a bunch of these hundreds of these other kind of right-wing channels. And so you listen to Shapiro, and some of the comments would go a little bit further, and you get a little Tim Pool, and then you go a little bit further to whoever at the time, and eventually you're ending up at with Lana. You see this beautiful blonde woman who's talking about, all kinds of, dropping a lot of base hints, and then you go off the YouTube platform and realize like, oh, there's a whole world out here of real politics. So there's like a digital map network of people on the right who are willing to discuss and promote a show, plus the organic network that happens naturally. And what would you call that? I mean, I know the Red Ice community, the Emily Yucas area of the internet, it's like it's a folk first group where the core dogma is just tribal focused, like any other race. The alt-right was kind of the Spencer 2015 term that never really caught on, because he didn't catch on for whatever reason, and it might not have been his fault. I never listened to him. It's just the censorship at that time was so bad that people like him or Andrew Anglin or Vincent James or Owen Benjamin or Fuentes, all these people, they just got completely banned off of mainstream social media and mainstream everything for a few years, and they had to go to these alt platforms. Okay, I guess somebody wants my attention. Anyway, I mean, imagine the future is going to be an alt-right network with animations, movies, books, spiritual studies, pagan ceremony. It's going to be a lot of fun. Organized camping trips and marshmallows and whatnot. Winter ceremonies. Burning the The what's that thing called? Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.